Jake, and this is
Neverland Navigation Radio,
where we are taking a deep dive into the Epcot that never was, Project Gemini.
All right.
Yeah, we are doing a deep dive into a weird topic today, which is a canceled Disney project that never did see the light of day, but was the first major re-envisioning of the front half of Epcot. So we'll get into...
And what a dramatic name.
Yes, Project...
You know what I mean?
Oh, their internal code names are always so dramatic.
Yeah, okay.
I love it.
Yeah, me too.
It's very super spy type vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is confidential information about Project Gemini.
Yeah. Maybe it's just putting project at the beginning of it, but I was like, this is serious.
Yeah. This is an op. This is Operation Gemini.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to take a look into that, see where it all went wrong, and kind of get into the history of that and how it affected things today.
Exciting.
It's going to be an interesting history episode. If you're into that kind of stuff, then you should subscribe to the show, because we do all types of deep dives into the history of Disney, as well as covering things like present breaking news and Imagineering and all kinds of interesting things.
All kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so go ahead and subscribe to the show. That's how you'll get alerted when we have a new episode coming out. And, of course, leaving a review would also really help the show, so we would definitely appreciate that as well.
We would. If you are considering taking any kind of a vacation coming up, or you've booked one in the last 30 days, I just wanted to let you know that I am a free-to-you travel agent, so I can help you get the best deal. If you've already even booked, then I can do deal monitoring for you, so that if a better deal comes along, I switch you to the better deal. That's something a lot of people don't realize that a travel agent can do for you. So if you're thinking about taking a trip at all, please send me an email. My email is morgan@neverlandnavigation.com, and talk to me, because it costs you nothing to have me as your personal travel agent. And I do all kinds of things you don't want to do, like get up at 6 a.m. to make your dining reservations, wait on hold and call when I have to call to make a request for your hotel, like letting them know if you want a high floor or you need a pack and play or something. And then also my clients get a free gift from me as a thank you, because I get paid commission from the place you're traveling to, even though you don't get charged more. It's kind of a wild situation.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take advantage of this unique opportunity that you have to get free travel agent services and to help support a small business.
Yes.
Yes. All right, Morgan, are you ready to navigate through the depths of Epcot's history?
I am really excited to hear so Jake did all the research for this one, and I'm very excited to hear about it, because I don't actually know like anything about it.
I think those are some of our favorite episodes where one of us will bring a topic that the other was not familiar or well-versed in the details of. For example, Morgan one time covered the Tower of Terror and all of its different incarnations around the world. And I had no idea what the stories of some of them were.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating.
It was fascinating, because they're also different.
Right.
Yeah.
They're unexpected.
If you haven't listened to that episode, you should check it out. That was really fascinating.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
This will be super fascinating too, though, because I had no idea.
All right. So should we begin?
Yeah, let's hear about this not secret project.
Well, it wasn't public until it was. And we'll get into that as well, of how we know all of this information about this canceled internal Disney project. But we'll get into the details now, because it's a pretty interesting story. And our story takes place in the early 2000s. Michael Eisner is the CEO of the Walt Disney Company, as he has to be in every kind of essay about theme parks. I feel like Michael Eisner is always popping up in everything.
I'm dressing like him for Halloween this year.
Oh, I like it.
And then I'm going to go jump in a lake. Not because I don't like him, because he did that.
Because he did that. If you don't know what Morgan's talking about, it's a deep cut from a book that Michael Eisner...
the Disney War book.
The Disney War, which actually we get into... Disney War.
Yeah.
That we get into some of that territory actually a little bit in this as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, because this is during that time.
Okay.
This is during his tenure.
Yeah, one time was like trying to hide out from somebody. Didn't want a confrontation, so he jumped in a lake.
Like a golf course.
It was at his kids' summer camp.
Oh yeah, they were at a campground.
Oh right.
Yeah. Okay, we caught up on Michael Eisner.
Sorry.
No.
I didn't want people to think I hate him so much that I'm going to go jump in a lake.
Okay, everybody, get out your notebooks. Michael Eisner jumped into. So I feel like to keep up with us and like these weird things that we know in our brain, they have to like get off the flow chart. And be like, okay, so here's Michael Eisner. He was the CEO of all this. He did jump in a lake, and he did. What was that other weird? He does some weird stuff.
He's done some weird stuff. I can't remember.
He's a wacky guy, that Michael Eisner. But anyway, he was
Oh, I know what you're thinking of. He made that alien encounter ride.
Yeah, well, honestly, that is that is a pretty telltale,
that was weird
experience.
You said what weird thing did he? He brought us one of the weirdest attractions ever to
check. That thing is weird as heck. Tim Curry was there though.
Okay, yeah,
fine. Okay, all right. Project Gemini. Wait, I'm gonna be focused.
Okay.
I believe in myself that I won't get sidetracked this whole episode.
Oh no, you're wrong. Sorry, but it'll be my fault.
Honestly,
so don't worry.
Thank you for like keeping me in touch with reality. I need that. Okay, it's the 2000s. We have Epcot. So Epcot was in this weird period after the Millennium celebration.
Okay.
So
the hand with the wand has come down. Is that what you're saying? Or where are we?
Actually,
where is the hand with the wand?
The hand, I'm so glad you asked, because the hand with the wand is the perfect symbol for what we're about to talk about, which was Epcot in a state of listless transition.
Okay.
In the new millennium, Epcot had a huge celebration. They had the Millennium Celebration Pavilion, which was a temporary structure that they built in the World Showcase between the UK and France pavilions that housed a World's Fair.
You told me about this too. I missed this entirely, even though I was going a lot at the time.
Right. It was kind of tucked in, and it's in a weird spot. It's that weird blue building that you walk by and wonder what's in there when you're walking around the World Showcase. Well, it was built for the Millennium Celebration. That and a huge parade around the World Showcase were part of the festivities associated with Epcot's Millennium Celebration, which was like a big deal. And also, as Morgan just mentioned, there was the iconic year 2000 lettering with the Sorcerer Mickey hand holding a wand that lit up in fiber optics at night.
Yes.
Above Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, I was going to say.
To the top of Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, to the side, kind of, huh?
Yeah, like up and
it was like an accessory
draping down the side
for Spaceship Earth.
Yeah, it was like a fun like sticker pack for Spaceship Earth. There were stars. It was cute. I liked it.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. It was tacky, but I'm nostalgic for it because we were kids.
Childhood. I know. That's how I feel about the birthday cake too.
Same. Or the sorcerer hat.
Same. Although I do get at least that one. People were upset about that. The sorcerer hat was in MGM Studios, by the way, in case you don't know what I'm talking about. And the people that were upset, I got you off track, but no. It's me.
No, it's not.
So, the sorcerer hat, people were upset about it because it was blocking the Chinese theater.
Right.
And for the birthday cake thing and this Millennium thing on Spaceship Earth, I feel like they felt like that was destroying the integrity of those things.
They thought it would be temporary.
Yeah.
So
more temporary.
That's a perfect segue.
Okay.
It's after the Millennium Celebration.
Okay.
There's still a hand on the wand.
Okay.
The numbers still say 2000.
Okay.
So now it's like 2001, 2002.
But at some point they took away the numbers.
Right. Okay. So they're thinking, what do we do? Like now we've got the Millennium Celebration's kind of over. It's time to take down the numbers. Mm-hmm. Do we take down the wand? Some people like the wand. They take down the numbers, but they put up the word Epcot in a new script with the wand, and this represents a strange period in Epcot's history where it's not the Millennium Celebration and things are beginning to look a little dated from the 80s, and it is the first time that Epcot is beginning to get a reputation of being
boring. Okay.
So we've got the old hand on the wand from this thing that's not here anymore. We've got these attractions like World of Motion that are closing because we're thinking about doing test track. So we build test track. We've got this park in a weird state of transition, something that Epcot would become very familiar with over its life.
Right. So edutainment rides and attractions were very popular when Epcot first opened, and it was like new and exciting, but eventually it did get that, what is this, school?
Field trip destination vibes. This is when they began.
Okay.
Epcot has always had them, but this is when that became the overwhelming vibe of Epcot, I would say, is during this period, and Disney was interested in counteracting that.
Okay.
So what they had planned was Project Gemini.
Okay.
That is...
Is this before or after they decided to get everybody just drunk all the time, and that's the counter?
Oh, fabulous question. Perhaps we will have to do a history. Did we do the history of food and wine?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
No, all right, let's do that.
All right.
That sounds fun.
Did we do the history of festivals?
Perhaps. Yeah, I feel like we may have.
I think we may have.
All right. Let's look through the archives. All right. So we've got, in the early 2000s, that's kind of what's going on. In 2003, Disney insider and entertainment writer Jim Hill broke a story detailing Disney's internal plans for an operation undertaken by Disney called Project Gemini.
Okay, I hope you're going to tell me why it's called this.
No, I can tell you what Gemini means, and then from that we can extrapolate why Disney may have called it that. But because this is a leak of an internal document, we don't know.
It's somebody's astrological sign.
Yeah, right. Walt Disney's astrological sign. Right. So so we've got this future world half of Epcot. Not anymore though, because now after Project Gemini, it's not going to be called Future World anymore. The future is in the past, because now Future World is going to be called Discoveryland.
Okay, sounds familiar.
Yes. Why does that sound familiar to you?
Well, part of the segmented future world of today is Discovery, right?
Yeah.
That's why it sounds familiar to me.
Right.
I still don't love that we did this now, the renaming, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, and we'll get into also like the reshaping of the park that's going on now and how it kind of parallels this.
Okay.
But in learning about this, we actually kind of further understand the redevelopment that they've just done, because this was kind of actually phase point 1.0, 0.0 of that, you know?
Yeah, well, and Future World doesn't actually make a ton of sense.
Right.
Just like
anymore.
It's like
Tomorrowland.
Yeah. All right.
And actually, we'll get into the crossover of that with Tomorrowland as well, because there's quite a bit that ends up as part of that. Epcot and Tomorrowland crossing over thematically and even in terms of attraction roster. We'll get into that a little bit.
Fascinating.
Okay, so we've got Project Gemini, which is going to remodel Future World into Discoveryland, and it's going to be an immersive, story-driven experience that will open by October 1st, 2006. That is the dream. The reinvention of that front of the park would not be a tame retheming of Future World. It would be a complete overhaul with a $500 million estimated budget to match. This figure rivaled the entire original budget of California's or Disney's California Adventure Park as a whole.
Okay.
That park's whole budget is estimated to be $600 million.
Incredible.
This overhaul of Future World is going to be $500 million.
Okay, and we're talking about this a few years after the year 2000.
We're talking, these plans began in the early 2000s, like the year 2000, 2001. This story broke as something that Disney was in the process of doing in 2003.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm saying weird, and I hope I'm not treading on something you're about to say, but I say weird because we know of things like this second half of Pop Century not happening because of the terrorist attacks and 9/11. Does this have anything to do with that?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead then. Because you were saying they're talking about it in 2003. I would have thought they would have stopped everything by then.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Okay, so we've got quite a big budget project going on.
Okay.
Here with the revitalization of Future World and some of the things that would be different following the overhaul. I think it's kind of shocking how much they planned to change.
It reminds me so much of what happened not that long ago.
Yeah, there are similarities for sure.
Okay, but without me knowing what all. But you're saying these things and I'm like, I felt this recently.
Yeah, it's honestly, that's why I think this is so interesting. It's because it's so similar.
They keep doing it.
This was their first swing at what we just got.
All right.
This was their very first try at like, ooh, Epcot's getting a little stale. We should do something.
Yeah, and if you don't know what I'm talking about all the stuff we were promised pre-COVID for Epcot. That like
Disney Plus released a whole special about it.
Yeah, there was a whole
the revitalization of Epcot.
Yeah, there was a whole thing in Epcot that you could go and see what was going to happen, and then half of that stuff wound up not coming to fruition.
Yep.
Okay, so go on.
Here's what they were going to do, for Project Gemini.
Okay.
Spaceship Earth was going to be repainted gold to match the original concept art for Epcot when Spaceship Earth was originally called Space Station Earth.
Gold.
So
metallic gold?
Metallic gold.
How would it not blind people?
The green space in the hub with several natural paths would lead guests to new discoveries.
What hub?
Because we were in Discovery Land. The hub of Discovery Land behind Spaceship Earth. Yes, where the Fountain of Nations was. Yeah.
Okay.
So now we've got green space like forest, trees, bushes, hubs. I mean, not hubs, bushes in the hub. Okay. There we go. And then, so that would be the hub.
Okay.
There would be a thematic refocus from the future to discovery. So discovering the world around us is going to be the theme. And then we've got the Innoventions buildings, the Communicore buildings, the main buildings of Future World at the time. Mm-hmm. Now half of them are gone and rebuilt into something else. We would have those divided into new areas called Global Neighborhood, which would be like a welcome area. The in-event, and then these...
Isn't Global Neighborhood what it's called when you're done with Spaceship Earth? That area with the games and stuff? Go on.
That might be called Project Tomorrow.
Okay.
Which is a very cool name for something. Global neighbor. I think they mentioned the term global neighborhood on the script of Spaceship Earth, perhaps.
Maybe. I'm just, it's ringing some bell.
Yeah, maybe.
No, and the global neighborhood was an interactive, technology-focused post-show area located at the exit of Spaceship Earth and Epcot. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
During the late 1990s and early 2000s.
Oh, okay. So probably...
I didn't have time to deep dive, so this is coming from Google AI. So
sure. Project Tomorrow, I think, is what it's called now.
Yes,
to, but we're talking about the same thing.
I can't believe my brain remembered that.
I bet that is
why this
call back to this.
Yeah.
So this would be.
So there will be global neighborhoods.
The entrance area, would be the green space entrance area would be called the global neighborhood. Then we would have these other buildings called Future Mart, which is what Mouse Gear used to be.
Future Mart, what a funny name.
Yeah,
like Kmart, but of the future.
It's the only thing futuristic, really, other than this other thing.
Weird.
Excuse me, sorry, the future makes me sneeze. We do have a few remnants of the future that kind of call back to Future World, but I guess this is the first one. And then there's also a robot restaurant, which is kind of fun.
That sounds fun.
Something called Leading Edge, which is what the equivalent of like Innoventions would be. A Home of the Future, an update of the Tomorrowland Home of the Future from Disneyland.
Oh, wow.
Which would be pretty cool.
Which we kind of got that in Innoventions.
We did get that at one point. There would be an internet cafe, which would both be an internet cafe literally.
Okay, interesting.
And also an internet cafe and also like a regular cafe. Mm-hmm. So like you get coffee and you get the internet. And then there was something called Cool Stuff, which would be an interactive consumer technology showcase. So that's what that would be what was around the hub of green space in the center of the new Discoveryland.
This stuff's all giving me Innoventions vibes.
It is of the era.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so that's, we haven't even gotten to the big kahuna yet, which of course would be, oh my God, wait, we haven't gotten there. Hold on.
I hate it when this happens, when you've got to, like, we write all of our research down and then it's easy to lose track.
Yeah. So you know how I said they painted Spaceship Earth gold?
Yeah.
That wasn't all they did to it.
Okay.
Well, what they were going to do to it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So if everything went according to plan, Spaceship Earth would be no more.
Oh my God.
It would be replaced entirely.
With?
A new ride.
Wait, the ball would be there?
The ball would be there.
And it would be gold. But they would have just gutted it.
Gutted it.
Okay. All right. I'm with you.
And the new ride would be called Time Racers.
Okay. I have heard of this. Okay. Go on.
A new show building would be constructed that would block current guest traffic flow on the left side of Spaceship Earth. Uh-huh. And the new ride would be a dark ride roller coaster hybrid race throughout all of human history.
And it does kind of sound fun.
It does sound fun.
I mean,
it's like Cosmic Rewind.
Yeah. But education.
Yes, it would be like more dark ridey.
It's hard to imagine dark ride where you're racing through human history and also a roller coaster.
Here's how I imagine it.
Okay.
You get on the ride.
Okay.
Close your eyes. You get on the ride. All right, I'm assuming you get on the ride and there's narration like it's Spaceship Earth.
Okay.
It's like throughout human time, our existence has changed and evolved, and today whoever can travel, whatever the premise would be, whoever can travel back the furthest or back the first or whatever the thing is, then you'll win the secrets of history or whatever. And then you go through this short section where you speed up really fast, and projection technology, which is what they were thinking of using to create this, would make it look like you're zooming through history. Okay. And then you stop at a specific point, and now it's a dark ride scene where it's 1845 or whatever, and then you zoom again through history, and maybe you interact with another car or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the idea.
Wild.
Zooming through all of the human experience.
Okay.
So that was what they had planned for Time Racers. That would have been obviously a pretty big change, and that's just what was coming to the hub area of Future World, Discoveryland. That was just the Time Racers area of Discoveryland and its surrounding little shops and installations. But there were also going to be changes to the rest of what was Future World as well, including a new addition to the Test Track Pavilion. So they were going to add on another attraction to the Test Track Pavilion.
Okay.
A second auxiliary experience, which was going to be a junior Autopia located outside of the test track.
Okay.
That allowed the younger kids who were old enough to ride the thrilling high-speed adventure of Test Track to drive a car.
Like
Autopia. Yeah.
Is it in the space that you could see? Do you know where they were planning to do it?
Right in front of Test Track.
Oh, okay.
In the area now where there's like the awning and that cool station and all that.
Got it.
That area right in front of Test Track.
Okay. Because when you're zipping around on Test Track outside, you can see kind of like a blank space back there that I could have seen them doing something like that.
Speaking of zipping around Test Track, there was going to be this really cool feature of Time Racers where at the end you break through Spaceship Earth and you zip around outside of
the ball.
The ball.
Oh my God. Okay.
That's like the finale.
Okay.
So imagine you're walking into
This
Epcot.
is wild.
Yeah, imagine you're walking into the Epcot we know and love, and you go back and, oh, I haven't been here in a while. Spaceship Earth is gold now, and it's a roller coaster.
And there's
a forest.
And there's track outside of it.
Okay. Yes.
Which would also make it need to be weather permitting.
Theoretically, yeah.
Okay.
So we've got Junior Autopia in front of Test Track, and we've got another transformation, and it's to the Living Seas Pavilion, which is going to be transformed into Under the Sea, which would be a pavilion featuring the Little Mermaid with an ocean conservation theme, and then Sea Base Alpha would become Triton's Kingdom.
Okay.
The land...
So adding the Little Mermaid ride like we have now, but there?
No, I think an entirely different ride, kind of more similar to Nemo.
So this is still edutainment.
But with a Little Mermaid theme. Yeah, this is still edutainment.
Okay.
And then we've got the Lands Pavilion, which will have been changed. The original entrance would be replaced by a new Rainforest with a suspended family coaster racing through it. And then it would be like a Rainforest family coaster. So like a suspended coaster where you hang from the track, but like not thrilling enough to be considered any more than a family coaster. So a suspended hanging Rainforest coaster would go in the area in front of the land.
Oh my gosh.
And then Soarin would be duplicated from Disney's California Adventure with a new film showcasing the world's various ecosystems.
Okay.
I thought that was so interesting.
That is interesting.
Soarin over the biomes of the globe makes so much sense for the land.
Right.
That feels
You're right.
educational.
That does make,
Yeah, that feels correct. And then a new hedge maze would be constructed in between the Land and Imagination pavilions that would act as like a transition between nature and imagination and would feature unique horticultural arrangements and displays.
Okay. So far, I'm kind of okay with the fact that this didn't come to fruition.
Okay.
What about you?
We'll get into my feelings about it. Okay. Once you know the whole story, your feelings might, I don't know, they might evolve. You never know.
Okay.
The plan also called for Wonders of Life to be replaced with a new pavilion concept with a then undecided theme. So they weren't sure what they wanted to do, but they were like, we're replacing the Wonders of Life pavilion.
Okay.
Michael Eisner's tenure as CEO was coming to a rocky conclusion at this time in Disney's history. Following years of poor stock performance and lackluster results at ABC and issues with theme park attendance, Roy Disney and Stanley Gold called for Eisner's demanded resignation and a campaign called Save Disney. Eisner was ousted from the company and resigned in 2005.
So dramatic.
And 2005 was just 1 year prior to the 2006 deadline for when Project Gemini would open. So that's where we're at in the timeline. For what had been completed for Project Gemini at that point? Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Okay.
Because California Adventure Park opened in 2001. And it was an over budget, poorly received financial disaster. Disney was also facing other challenges in the 2000s, like the disappointing box office performance for their CGI movies like Treasure Planet, stagnant theme park attendance, and the general economic downturn that followed the 2001 terrorist attacks. So we've got a lot of problems now that are complicating this. This idea originated in the early 2000s prior to said economic downturn. And then everything kind of changed when California Adventure didn't go according to plan because Disneyland Paris, then called Euro Disneyland, had just finished being its own financial disaster in the 90s. And then we're in the 2000s, and now California Adventure is tanking and their box office performance is tanking, and nobody wants Michael Eisner to be the CEO anymore.
Wow.
So all this direction is changing, and Project Gemini basically gets cut for budget purposes, briefly revived. They want to say, no, we do want to install parts of this because Futureland is so badly in need of this. But then leadership changes again, Paul Pressler leaves, and then once again, Project Gemini gets cut. So we get this story right before it's cut the final time. So we received news of Project Gemini basically right as it's gonna get canceled.
So it got leaked to the public, or it was like they released?
It has never been announced by Disney.
Okay.
It was released. It was leaked to the public by an insider.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
So there is first of all, there is a concept art map of this.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is where we get most of this information, and also how we know it to be real because it's from Imagineering. Very interesting. And then also, I will say there's something else that's particularly interesting about the Project Gemini story, which is how it interacts with Disney as a company in the 2000s. In the 90s, Disney had unprecedented success. Michael Eisner called it the Disney decade, and it absolutely delivered on that promise because they had unparalleled theme park success until Euro Disneyland. They had this hugely successful campaign of movies, the Disney Renaissance.
Right.
Before this episode aired, when we were doing a mic check, we were talking about Disney movies, and we were thinking about Disney movies from the 90s, and immediately like a million came to mind. And then we were talking about Disney movies from the 2000s, and it's harder to think of them.
Yeah.
And I think that summarizes how the public was feeling about those movies in the 2000s.
I think you could have done it though, right? It sounded like you know the dates of all of those that came out in the 2000s. It might have been like my place in life as an older child / young adult is in the 2000s.
I don't think I'm a reliable barometer because like I existed solely on like VHSs from garage sales.
Yeah.
So like I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm a reliable indicator of that, but I know that I had a VHS of Treasure Planet and I liked it.
Yeah.
So like, and Atlantis and all that.
Right.
So I was a Disney kid through and through.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I was too. Yeah. I don't know. You're right though.
It's no Beauty and the Beast.
Yes. Right. The ones that were in the 90s, a lot of them were like so. I mean, still are just so iconic.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So the 2000s wasn't producing that for them, really, as whether or not you want to say the movies are good or should be more popular, you can't deny the box office. No one can deny the box office performance was not great. They weren't receiving the critical acclaim they used to, the Academy Awards they used to. Michael Eisner was getting chewed out for having bad ABC ratings. He was a television executive previously. It made no sense that he had bad television ratings. It was there were so many problems. But it was never to be, this was never going to be a concept that ever got off the ground. And the project would never become a reality, but some things did survive. Like, for example, we did end up getting Soarin.
Right, we did get Soarin.
Yes.
I was trying to think of what we would have lost if this had happened.
Yeah.
What
Spaceship Earth.
That's insane. Living with the Land, I assume, or were they just going to leave that?
They were just going to leave that.
Okay.
They were going to add a new roller coaster to the front of the Land Pavilion. They were going to... So, Kitchen Cabaret had become Food Rocks already.
Okay.
Food Rocks would have been replaced with Soarin', which is what did end up happening anyway.
Right. That sounds like the Fountain View Cafe would have turned into the Internet Cafe, potentially.
Yeah, nothing...
Which wouldn't have been a big change. Just kind of you know what I'm trying to say.
Modernization.
What about Innoventions? Would that still have existed?
They would have chopped it up into all those different things.
Okay.
But they would have a space that would offer something similar to what Innoventions was. One of them was called Cool Stuff, which was going to debut cool technology of the time, like Segways.
But that was of the future, right? Was it technology of the future, or was it
of the time?
That would feel like a sales pitch to me.
It was a little sales pitchy.
Okay.
Originally, Epcot was very sales pitchy. Even Walt Disney's idea for Epcot was sales pitchy.
Okay.
Because he was like, we'll get these technology companies to put the technology in their homes, and the clients will be like consumer testers of the products.
Wow.
And then as the new models come out, they'll get the new models and they'll review those. Like, Walt Disney was always about the corporate synergy of the situation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, so those were some of the things that were going to come. It never did come. We did end up getting Soarin, and we did end up getting a new Living Seas pavilion, but when Finding Nemo came along, they decided to go with the Finding Nemo overlay. It could be done cheaply. They didn't have to transform Seabase Alpha into King Triton's Kingdom. They could still just call it the Living Seas with Nemo and Friends.
Right.
Yep. And then, so pretty much everything else got canceled. But then in 2017 at D23, Disney released concept art of what would be a new future world. They were going to do an overhaul, and their very first look at it has some similarities to Project Gemini. In that there's a lot of lush green space that would be very similar to the global neighborhood welcome area of what would be Discovery Land. They also created all these pathways in the nature that was very reminiscent of what they were going to do in Discovery Land to send people on new adventures and stuff. However, this was something that actually did end up changing quite a bit by the time that we got to, reality. Right. These plans still included a festival center pavilion, which was eventually discontinued or canceled as a project, and there are lots of structural elements in this concept art that did not come to reality at all. Right. But, you can kind of see some resemblance to what they were trying to do with Project Gemini in terms of adding more nature to the site, because in the 2000s, which was the time that Project Gemini was being conceived, this was like the Fountain of Nations and
a lot of concrete,
pin trading, awnings, but
and I do feel like they did do this. Don't you feel like
they kind of did do this? They built a park with green space. Yeah. So I think this I feel like is kind of similar in tone to what we ended up getting. However, it is without its centerpiece, which would have been a new celebration pavilion, festival pavilion at the end of at the kind of the bridge point between Future World and World Showcase.
Yeah.
So what they did end up calling this new overhaul was not Discovery Land. They instead did some division, and now we have World Nature, World Celebration, World Showcase, and not Discovery Land, but World Discovery.
Right.
So that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Do
you think the robot restaurant is...
I love this being your first question.
Yeah. Was that to be instead of the electric umbrella? Or I'm not sure about the timing of the electric umbrella. I mean, I know it was around when I was a kid, which means that
it was just a restaurant even before that. Yeah.
I think. Yeah. Okay.
It was pre-2000s, and it was a restaurant before that as well, just with a different name.
So do you think that was their intention, to change it to a robot restaurant, that one? Or to create a new one?
I can actually show you the plan.
The map.
The little diagram map of where everything was going to be.
Okay.
So the robot restaurant was going to be on the left side. When you first entered through the global neighborhood past Time Racers, you would first see on the left side Leading Edge, which was going to be the new name for an Interventions-like facility.
Okay.
And then attached to that...
I think this is where it is.
Yeah, because this little rotunda is where the coffee shop was. The fountain thing. Isn't that right?
No. Sorry. Where was the Fountain of Nations?
I would say here.
The Fountain View was over here.
Oh, right.
And Club Cool,
actually. Oh, yeah. So that would be...
So Club Cool was where you said cool stuff is.
Right.
And Internet Cafe. So yes, that was the plan.
Internet Cafe, yeah. That would be the new cafe.
And yes, the robot restaurant is, I believe... I'm like 99.9% sure that is where Electric Umbrella was. Right. Actually, I would have said that Electric Umbrella was where this Leading Edge was, but that doesn't really make sense. So maybe it's one or the other here.
Yeah, because this is Ellen's Energy Adventure, which is a building we still have now. It's just the queue for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind.
And so this is a restaurant now. this is connections now, right? So and this is what I think this is it. That doesn't make sense, but where it says leading edges is where connections is now, which used to be electric umbrella, right? Yeah, interesting.
So theoretically,
and this was the shop.
Yes, this was Mouse Gear.
Yeah.
And this was like meet and greet, right? Or what was this over here? Future Mart.
Oh, maybe that was Mouse Gear.
Oh, that would make sense.
Yes. And so this is electric umbrella.
Okay, so electric umbrella would become Robot Restaurant. Mouse Gear would become Future Mart. And then...
I don't know what this is.
This might be a new building.
Yeah, maybe it's a new building.
Leading edge.
Right, because you cut through in between the shop and the restaurant now and before to get back to what's now Guardians.
Yes.
And Mission Space and all that, and what used to be Ellen's Energy Adventure. So yeah, that makes sense. And then, yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, so that's kind of what the lay of the land was going to be. And then you can see, speaking of the land, here's the Rainforest roller coaster that was going to be added to
Hard to imagine how that would have fit there.
Yeah.
With the line and everything.
I think
even if the roller coaster didn't have a big footprint, the lines always for roller coasters always have such a huge footprint.
Perhaps they could have incorporated the hedge maze as part of the extended queue.
Is a crazy idea.
I think it's a wonderful blend of nature and imagination.
Okay.
Figment would love topiaries.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
The Junior Autopia is
like an actual maze that you could get lost in, though?
Probably not that you could get lost in. I think it would more just be like a small maze that had, you get to this little corner and there's this really cool scene of these beautiful topiaries and these awesome plants, lighting at night, that type of twinkly lights in the bushes. Yeah. I think it would be that type of vibe.
Okay.
I don't think it would be like an English medieval hedge maze.
Shining. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be this.
This is where my brain goes when I hear like.
You said haunted house.
Yeah. How many people are gonna die in there?
Hopefully nobody. Yeah. Okay, so what we've got now is this project that just happened. We're not okay.
I will say also COVID-19. A lot of that stuff is. Are they still not figuring out that they need to not have stuff that they aren't, because Universal's still screwing this up too. They have to start thinking about weather as an effect. Like, should we keep making things that go outside when we've got to shut them down every time that it storms, which like in the summer is like absolutely every day.
At least an hour a day.
Yeah. Does that really make sense? I just don't.
Maybe that's why Guardians and Tron are both covered.
Right. Our most recent ones. But this is a huge complaint at Universal Epic Universe, thank you. Because when there's a storm, they have to shut down more than half of their rides. How unfortunate.
It is unfortunate. Every park will have its limitations.
No, I know.
You know, in the winter, parks have to close for the weather.
Yeah, I just wish they were thinking about it when they're processing. But you're right, maybe they are now. Maybe Disney is now, because Guardians won't get shut down because of weather.
Right.
Tron not going to get shut down because of weather. Because even that one little part that goes outside is covered.
I think that's why it's covered. So they don't have to worry about the weather.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, smart. I spent a lot of time.
Do you think they would have covered the Junior Autopia?
I don't know. Why were they building another Autopia?
For the children who can't ride Test Track.
Okay.
I would not have cared about that at all.
No, I know.
It would have actually been very annoying for us.
Yeah, they could have done something else.
Agreed.
Like, I don't really like a repeat. You know?
Boring.
Yeah, boring.
Soarin.
There are other things you can have kids do that, like I just...
Agreed. They can go watch Soarin' over California and smell the oranges.
Mm-hmm. Well, not kids. Little kids can't go on Soarin'. Oh. I mean, they can. You've got to...
What if I hold them real tight?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the age requirement is. Or not age, height requirement is.
The thing I'm most mad about losing from Project Gemini is Soarin over the biomes or whatever they were gonna call that.
You
That
wanted
sounds.
to be taught about the.
You go through the arid desert. It's so Epcot to say like you travel through the arid.
It does
desert.
feel like a very elevated Living with the Land.
Yeah. Come on now.
Because in Living with the Land, you do that. You go through the desert and then you go through the rainforest and stuff like that. If they did that, do you know if they were planning to do a like a water element
with Soarin?
Yeah.
A water element.
Yeah, you're like when you're.
Oh, like when it's like it would spray you with water.
Yeah, or like it would mist. Like if I'm in the rainforest.
I think it should do that now. There's literally a waterfall sequence.
That's true.
In the current one.
Yeah, a mist would be. Refreshing and appropriate.
I miss that mist.
Mm-hmm.
That mist should be there.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's because of the metal. I'm not.
Maybe they don't like the mold, like the Little Mermaid show.
Tell me. Oh yes, in the carpet and
you
stuff.
You could smell the mold.
You could smell it. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Morgan blocked out the trauma of
forgot.
Smelling the mold.
Yeah.
We walked in there one time. We were both smell. Like, "Wow, that is mold."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So okay, so we
scent is such a strong like memory thing.
Right.
It's such a weird thing for them not to have addressed.
I know.
Let's have this show with all this water and then put carpet in.
Yeah, the carpet. The carpet is wild. One time I was with a friend at an IHOP at like 1 o'clock in the morning. We were drinking coffee, and she spilled her coffee with cream in it and everything all over everything. And the waitress, Tori, asked the server, "Do you have a towel or anything that I can clean this up with? I'm so sorry." And the server goes, "Don't worry, the carpet will soak it up."
Yeah, that's what it's there for.
That's Disney with the mold. Don't worry, the carpet will just soak
That's
it up.
IHOP for you. We have gone to IHOP a bunch after we closed down Disney.
Yeah, it's our
there's
shut
a few.
Down the park.
Yeah, there's a few IHOPs right around Disney World, and we're like, well, everything in Disney's closed. Where should we go? Let's go get pancakes.
It's always time for pancakes.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I feel I have mixed feelings about this.
You
were gonna tell me how you felt.
Yes, now that all is said and done, I will say, here's what I wish would have been taken from this.
Okay.
The big swing energy.
Yeah.
Of it.
Right.
The big budget.
Well, I feel like we had that.
Transformation.
I mean, okay.
No, tell me.
No, it's what I was talking about earlier. When we had it was gonna be a big swing what they had planned.
I completely agree.
For pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Did you say 2017 was when that came out? No.
The concept art, yes.
Okay. I didn't know it was that far in advance.
That was the first version of the Epcot.
Okay, that was
Overhaul.
like when we were just barely knew about it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the very first time we even knew what was going to happen.
What was it called?
It wasn't called anything.
Oh, I bet it was. Let's call it
internally, I'm sure it was. Internally? Oh, yeah. Stardust? Project Stardust?
Oh, I love that. Okay.
Actually, that's just the new name of the podcast.
Okay, so Project Stardust
was
like they had changes to every pavilion, and like they had changes planned for, like we were just talking about the Mary Poppins thing that they were going to do.
Even the World Showcase was getting new stuff.
Yeah, Spaceship Earth was going to be redone, but not turned into a roller coaster, just like, updated a lot. They were going to spend a crap ton of money. It was going to be closed for years.
Yeah, they were going to do a big number on it.
Yeah, they were adding the Play Pavilion and a festival center and Guardians, which we did get, thank the Lord.
Of course, a new nighttime spectacular, which we did also get.
Yeah, we did get some of it. Moana,
Journey of Water,
which I appreciate. Moana.
That actually really reminds me of Project Gemini.
Yes, I think so too. I was thinking of that also.
I think that is
this is from Project Gemini. It's a mix of your hedge maze. Yeah. Because once you go into
hedge.
Yeah. Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I do.
Once you go into, if you haven't been yet, once you go into the Journey of Water with Moana or whatever the official title is,
Sponsored by...
you are like in a maze.
It is like a maze.
It's like a maze of different water activities, and you're not getting out of there until you're done with the maze.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it's got the nature feel that they were looking for.
Exactly, and it's like discovery.
And it was educational.
That belongs in a land called Discovery Land.
Yeah, fair.
Totally, you know?
Wait, yes. And it's in world nature in our current, but yes.
That's a little less satisfying, I will say. But it is correct because like water,
it is correct.
Nature, the seas. It's just that doesn't feel like the same pavilion.
My issue with all of the names is that it's too many names. It's confusing.
Agreed.
I think.
Why is Moana and the Living Seas and the land called? That's called World Nature, right?
Yeah.
I think so. I completely understand why that is called World Nature.
Right.
But like having those 3 things called World Nature and then having 3 other attractions called World whatever.
Yeah.
It's just too...
And on the same side, like...
There's not enough experiences to warrant that being called a land.
And if I'm I'm me and I go to Disney all the time and I do a Disney podcast and I'm a travel agent and I still don't with 100% certainty know what's in which part.
Let's name the zones. Yeah.
Then your regular people that are coming to Disney World, to Epcot, no clue.
Lost.
So what was the point? You know what I mean?
I don't like that. I think they should have called it All World Discovery.
World something, whatever you want. I get now that I think about it, which just happened at the beginning of this episode, why Future World doesn't actually make any sense because there's not actually a lot of futuristic stuff.
Right.
Especially now that we've added a lot of nature stuff. But yeah, calling the front of the park something different than the back of the park because of World Showcase makes sense. But calling it 4 different things?
Yeah.
That's too much. Even if they split it as a half and half, that might have been a little bit better.
Actually, I kind of like that.
What, the half and half?
Yes, because there's already half and half energy to Epcot.
There is.
So splitting one more thing half and half.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Right. And then that would be like, oh, okay, so this World Discovery is the right side and World Future could have been, because I mean that the left side has Test Track and Mission Space and Guardians, which have the most futuristic feel.
Right.
Not really Test Track, but actually with the refurb, it's got a little bit of a...
I would say that area is generally futuristic. I do think that this mishmash will always be part of Epcot's identity. Mm-hmm. And I think this story that we just told was, unfortunately, the very beginning of Epcot's identity crisis. This project, this decision, these overhauls, and we are just now arriving at the other end of it. Mm-hmm. We just now closed the door on Project Gemini. And like obviously the ramifications are going to be with the park forever, just like the way the Millennium Celebration ended up being. There were decisions made during that changed the entire course of Epcot's history. And we just did that again with the entire front of the park. So, it's an interesting time to view the health of Epcot.
Right.
As history marches on.
Like when I call Hollywood Studios MGM, it's just because I'm being sassy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because MGM was nostalgic for me. It's not because I'm confused. Yes. But the Epcot naming is confusing.
That to me, I genuinely think that objectively it is a bad decision to name all of those things so many things. Mm. I also find it to be personally dissatisfying.
I do too.
I don't like it.
That's what I'm saying. I have an actual... I do too. The flags have different colors and designs for each of the different sections, right? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
But they didn't need to name them differently to have that.
No, and each pavilion has a flag, and each pavilion has a color, and that's the beauty.
Yeah.
Future World has these pavilions, each pavilion has a flag.
Right.
World Showcase has these pavilions, each pavilion has a flag.
Yeah, right.
Now we've got World Discovery, World whatever.
You're supposed to remember whether it's World Discovery or World Nature or whatever, World Celebration, and then you're supposed to remember the name of the pavilion that the rides are in. It's just too much for the average tourist. it's honestly too much for a regular Disney adult. So
what did you think about your trip to the Wonders of Xandar Pavilion?
Yeah. Oh, where was that again? World Celebration.
Oh, right. Wow.
Yeah.
I loved World Discovery.
Yeah.
What did you think about that?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're pretty silly.
It's just, yeah, I don't like that. I'm not mad about the Hollywood Studios thing. Just to clarify.
No, yeah.
Like, I still like saying MGM just out of it's kind of just letting anybody I'm talking to know that this is...
That you're an OG.
Yeah, I'm an OG. This is... Yes, exactly.
I'm from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from here, right. I got the zip code tattooed on me. Yeah, but this all the stuff they did with the naming in the front of Epcot, I don't like it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a scramble. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, we'll see how it goes. Something I'm looking forward to this is also the Wonders of Life Pavilion is a piece of this. This plan called for a replacement. The modern reimagination of Epcot called for Project Starlight. Stardust. Oh my god, I got it wrong.
It doesn't matter. We made it up.
We did make it up. That project also envisioned a new future for Wonders of Life, and neither have come to fruition. Is it the little pavilion that could? Will Wonders of Life live again, or will it be knocked to the ground?
Oh, yeah. I mean, now it's our favorite dilapidated building, so I guess, it needs to be what it is. It's it reminds me of the area in Tomorrowland that's had Stitch and Alien Encounter. It's almost like, are you cursed back there? You know what I mean?
I know.
People have said, jokingly, of course, that area that Stitch was in is like cursed because nothing's ever been successful back there.
Right.
But I would say that the Wonders of Life Pavilion, when it was in its heyday, was successful.
It did see success.
Yeah.
Especially with Body Wars being like
I think at this point, somebody's walking in there and seeing how messy it is because they've just let it rot and been like, oh no, I'm not.
It does seem, unfortunately, yeah. Oh, you're giving me this rotting building from the 80s?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That nobody's taken anything out of or cleaned or anything.
Oh, what are these? Simulator bays from 1984?
Yeah, is this an old mummified churro?
Oh, the animatronics aren't in here anymore because they got stolen.
Right. Oh, you've got a crime problem back here. It's like the bad real estate.
The Wonders of Life.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us.
On that note, we're done.
That's enough, right? Thank you guys so much for joining us on this episode. If you would like to see more of us, you can follow us on social media. We are on Instagram and TikTok at Neverland Navco.
Yeah, and we have an Etsy shop called Neverland Navigation where we do custom shirts, sweatshirts, and tank tops and dish towels. But if you really need to get on there and not really browse, but message us and say, hey, my favorite ride was Body Wars or whatever.
Ooh, I survived Body Wars.
Yeah, and
I only threw up once.
Right, and then I send you design ideas. You know what I mean?
It's a collaboration.
I'll tell you, I mostly do gifts at this point, because if your significant other or your best friend or your dad or whatever was a big fan of Maelstrom, then you want something there's not a lot of stuff out there.
And it's hard to find.
So just go to Neverland Navigation on Etsy, send me a message and say, I'm looking for a gift for this person. This is what they love. And
you'll wear it to the park and everyone will say, oh, I love your shirt.
Yeah.
Everyone will know how cool you are.
We get so many compliments on our stuff because it's so unique and vintage. I love wearing the stuff that's not around anymore.
I know.
Jake loves his Great Movie Ride shirt.
Oh, yes.
Because you can't walk
5 feet.
But without getting somebody being like, oh my gosh, I love your shirt. I love that ride.
It was like that with Dinosaur too, when we would wear our dinosaur shirts. People love Dinosaur.
Yeah. The cast members especially are the ones that are
it's true.
They really kind of geek out about it because they've
so cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right.
But sorry, that's also where you get what I do. I do custom shirts for my travel agent clients. So another way to get fun custom shirts, whatever you want. I mean, if you're going on a cruise and you want shirts that say our Disney cruise 2026 or whatever, I can do that. But a lot of people want ride shirts.
Right.
And they'll get like a different ride for each person in their family.
I get it. We're big ride people. We understand.
Yeah.
It's our brand.
Oh, it's a really fun look, and it's more unique than a family shirt.
Yeah.
So
great artwork.
Yeah.
Totally.
Very fun.
Yes.
If you're thinking about taking a trip and you want to get those shirts, send me an email, morgan@neverlandnavigation.com. Sorry, it took me a long spin around to get there.
There's a lot of information, but that's just because there's a lot of benefits to using a travel agent. So you guys should consider.
And people don't know.
Heck yeah. Thank you guys so much for joining us for this episode. We're off to go unearth other secret Disney projects. So we'll see you on our next adventure.